This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady News Source.
Welcome to Mock Show 570. I'm Adeline Kennerly. Tonight there is a tornado warning in Athens until 10 p.m. Reporter Ellen Rittner has more on what to do before and during a tornado. First, could you explain what the difference is, Ellen, between a tornado warning and a tornado watch?
Sure, of course. Well, when the National Weather Service says that there's a tornado watch, it means that a tornado is a possibility in the area. But a tornado warning, on the other hand, means that a tornado has already been sighted or it's popped up on the weather radar in your area.
Thank you.
Watch or warning, you should have an emergency kit that includes a first aid kit, 3-day supply of food and water, a weather radio, flashlight, and extra batteries ready.
We encourage everybody to have a NOAA weather radio. That's the best way to be notified in the event of a weather-related emergency.
When you're alerted that a tornado has either been spotted or could show up in your area, you need to take shelter on the lowest level of the building you're in. Move to an interior hallway away from any windows or doors that open up to the outside. It is also a good idea to have a family member expecting you to get in touch with them afterwards. Once your area is in the clear, text that person and let them know that you're okay. Unless you're in danger, don't call anyone because that could tie up phone lines that emergency responders need. Though tornado season is normally late winter or spring, they can happen anytime, so it's important to stay on your toes.
Mother Nature doesn't look at the calendar. If all the ingredients are present, the lift, the instability, the moisture that helps the instability, and the vertical wind shear, then we could have tornadoes anytime.
That's why it's important to be prepared at all times. Adeline, how is emergency preparedness different now than it was in the past?
Well, we're definitely a lot more prepared now for emergency situations than we were in the past. You probably woke up to a phone alert or a siren this morning. A tornado did not directly hit Athens today, but you were prepared because of the weather alert system. Athens provides both sirens and text alerts, while UGA provides notifications by phone, email, and weather radio. Experts say that if we had current storm detection technology during tornadoes in the past, that countless lives could have been saved. It's not much consolation to the victims of storms past, but today people can be warned of weather danger in enough time to get to safety. Just a few minutes of warning can be the difference between life and death when it comes to Mother Nature's fury.
Meteorologists can detect tornadoes in time to warn Georgia residents to find a safe place before the dangerous storm hits. The Severe Storms Research Center at the Georgia Tech Research Institute are continuing to develop technologies that will improve the accuracy and timeliness of tornado warnings. This morning's tornado warning wasn't the first bad weather scare in the city of Athens. Records show that 55 historical tornado events have hit the Athens area since the 1950s. One of the most infamous of these events left a deadly mark on our community. 2 tornadoes struck Athens in 1973, leaving 1 person dead and hundreds more injured. The pair of tornadoes destroyed 400 homes and damaged many more. The unusually violent tornado left behind an estimated $113 million damage to the Athens community.
Today, residents can be warned sooner and in more ways of the dangerous tornadoes in the area. The weather may be bad, but that's not stopping some Athens voters from heading to the polls.
I want to be a parent. It doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
You guys going to my party on Friday?
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be crazy.
All right.
What's up, dude?
I'm loving your jacket.
Don't be such a fag.
If you don't mean it, why say it? Words hurt. Think before you speak.
I come from a big family. I'm the oldest of 6. To me, being the first person to go to college, it's like setting a standard, you know? My little brother is 8 years old now. I challenge his curiosity. I challenge him to dream. I have to paint a picture for him that he can look up to and live up to and possibly be better than. My name is Jaquez, and I am your dividend.
Here is my handle, and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
To vote in November's election. Good evening. I'm Mallory Blunt. Those voters are taking advantage of Athens early voting. Voting officials are putting out signs in preparation for people who want to vote early. This option is available to over 60,000 registered Athens voters. Votes can be cast either through the mail or in person at the Board of Elections. Voters first fill out a short form and show their photo ID. Then they go to a computer and vote, just like on Election Day. People like Dylan Nix show up early because they believe voting is a big responsibility.
It's the way you affect your world around you. I mean, democracy is pretty freaking awesome, and if you're gonna enjoy the spoils, I guess, of democracy, which are the country we live in, which is pretty great, then you should, I guess, do your part.
Other voters care more about convenience.
Election day is a Tuesday, but as a retired teacher, I don't like lines. It may not be that long, but this is an opportunity, and why not get it over with?
Before heading out to the polls, voters may want to keep these 3 things in mind. Early voting ends on October 31st. Voting is open from 8 to 5 on weekdays. It is also open 9 to 4 on October 25th. Also, early voting at the Board of Elections will be available on Sunday, October 26th for the first time. Election Supervisor Gail Schrader is optimistic about this year's voter turnout.
I think we're off to a good start this year. Voters know about early voting now. We've been doing it several years.
So the Moving Fundraising Reception to support her in her campaign. The event starts at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Hill, which means the U.S. Senator race is heating up as the election date approaches.
I'm Republican candidate David Perdue in the last fundraising quarter. She is currently behind in the race as well. According to Survey USA's What If poll, Perdue is ahead of Nunn by 3%. He currently holds 47% of the likely votes, while Nunn holds 43%. The race may end in a runoff if neither candidate reaches 50%. Nathan Williams is a political science major at the University of Georgia and has been closely following the race.
David Perdue probably will most likely approach the 50% mark in polls relatively soon. He's been performing really well statewide, a little bit more comparatively over her. He's been performing a little bit better, like you said. You mentioned with fundraising, it's a really good indicator of a strengthening campaign. She's really performed really well too. Both of them have really similar dynamics. They're both outsiders. Both have names from political dynasties and families in Georgia. But I think at the end of the day, they're both being evaluated based upon their own merits. And I think Georgia voters are still hanging towards voting Republican.
I'll say something right.
Both candidates have family members that were former people in office. Michelle Nunn is the daughter of Sam Nunn, who was the former Georgia senator, and David Perdue is the first coming of former Governor Sonny Perdue. And neither one of these candidates have held positions in Georgia before, so this will be pretty interesting to see how it plays out.
Very interesting. Will Athens get a chance to see David Perdue before the election?
We actually don't know. We tried to get in contact with him, but he hasn't been able to get back with us, so we'll see.
Senate hopeful David Perdue has ramped up fundraising this quarter. Perdue has raised $4.82 million in the past 3 months. He has raised $10.6 million overall. Michelle Nunn has raised $4.15 million this quarter. That being said, she has raised more money than Perdue overall, with $13 million contributed to the campaign so far. Both candidates will continue to campaign by making stops throughout Georgia. Nearly 1/10 of David Perdue's funds came from his own pocket. He contributed $500,000 to his own campaign this quarter. Perdue has contributed or loaned over $1 million to his campaign so far. Races a little bit closer to home are gearing up too. The Georgia 10th congressional seat is up for grabs. The race is pitting 2 candidates who are relatively new to politics. The Democratic candidate is Ken Diaz. He graduated from UGA's law school. He is the first African American in 12 years to run for Congress. The Republican candidate is Jody Hice. He has been endorsed by incumbent Congressman Paul Brown. You may not have as much privacy as you think. Coming up, Mock Show 570 takes a look into app permissions and student emails being made public.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
He's a smart boy, and he's gonna be okay. Okay, try to calm again. There's no reception. Everything is down. Try! Try already! Nothing's working. Well, just everything's down. Do you think he's on his way? Please. Is he okay? Laura. Please tell me he's okay. I need you to calm down. Why, that's my baby. This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov.
I've only been here for a few weeks, but I just really love the atmosphere. Even though it's such a big campus, it feels like home to me already.
You can hang out with people and go downtown together and study together and all that stuff.
I've made friends, really good friends from Hong Kong, Bombay, but also New York and Virginia.
You may have less privacy than you think when it comes to the apps on your phone. Good evening, I'm Zach Watson. Reporter Sophie Archer tells us how anyone could access your phone's camera or get your precise location through these apps without you even knowing.
I was shocked by how many apps I found that have access to things on your phone. Your camera, your microphone, your photos, your contacts, even your call log, you name it. There's probably an app that has access to it. One of the most popular websites receives some of the least popular reviews about user privacy. Facebook recently made it mandatory for its users to download the Facebook Messenger app. This app has faced serious backlash from its users and was rated with only 1 star on the iTunes App Store. It can access more aspects of your phone than many other apps. This may seem normal for a messaging app, but the main complaints come from the fact that the camera and microphone can be accessed without confirmation from the user. You may not even realize when someone is using them to breach your privacy.
There's just no privacy anymore. So, I mean, people will take advantage of it because people love to know what everybody's doing at every second of the day.
And he's right. Despite the bad reviews the app has received, more than 10 million Android users have downloaded it. Facebook has since updated their privacy policies to make their web page more user-friendly. Even apps like Tinder have access to your location at all times. Tinder is a dating app that allows singles to find other singles based on their location. This means that all users are required to enable location tracking on their phones. The bad news is the app and other users know where you are at all times, even if you aren't using it.
within 100 feet, you might end up running into someone you didn't necessarily want to.
A popular app that has potential to breach your privacy is Snapchat. Photos you once thought were private could now be seen by everyone. Over 200,000 Snapchat photos and videos were recently hacked and released to the general public, known as the Snapping. We take an inside look on why Snapchat privacy may be something you should be worried about. Digital marketing statistics found that there are over 400 million Snapchat photos sent each day. Many Snapchat users assume these photos or videos are only seen once and then vanish forever. Users are now questioning how safe their photos actually are and how people were able to hack them. Once a photo is sent to your fellow Snapchat friends, the file does not disappear. Within the app iFile, created by Darkness Production, Snapchat users are able to view all photos or videos sent their way. Through your phone or computer, you can access these photos, save them, and then upload them to wherever you want. If you have someone were to hack your phone or computer, they could easily see the photos that you once thought were private. So what exactly how do you make your Snapchat account safe? Well, besides deleting your account, users can follow these steps to delete their photo history. Users can download the app iFile for $1.99 on the Apple iStore. Once there, you can go under the tab VAR, select Applications, find your Snapchat folder, go under the file TMP, and then delete all the data within the file. Hopefully this will stop your Snapchat worries and keep you safe from privacy hacking. Remember to think before you click and make sure that the picture is worth being seen again. Students may need to be more careful when using their UGA email accounts. Georgia's Open Records Act requires the university to provide all public records information on request. This includes all emails sent through UGA account, contacting teachers, forwarding a grocery list to your mom, sending funny videos to classmates. Most people wouldn't consider these subjects to be public. However, any UGA email may be requested by a member of the public. Through the Georgia Open Records Act, a person may access emails through that involve state business, are sent over a UGA account or even on a privately owned computer from home, or are sent on or through UGA-owned equipment no matter where it is located. Students' evaluations of academic courses and personal files are also subject to open records. According to the law, a person making a public record request does not need to specify any need or entrance to the document to gain access. While it may be scary though, you have your private conversations available for copy and inspection. There are always ways to ensure your sensitive information is protected. Secure UGA has listed some of the tips on how to protect your privacy video, which include determine if you really need sensitive data. In many cases, that is not needed. Maintain professionalism when using your UGA email. Remember, ownership of a computer does not matter, and delete emails with unnecessary sensitive information. Remember that trashing unnecessary emails does not delete them. Users must also empty their emails trash bin. Answers to commonly asked questions about the Open Records Act can be found under news.uga.edu. While Todd Gurley remains suspended for signing autographs and receiving allegedly money illegally, other SEC athletes have not been penalized for breaking state laws. We have the story for you after the break.
The people here are warm and friendly and actually quite affectionate.
For me, it's like the people and just like the campus is like super pretty.
There's a sense of pride on campus and a sense of community that you really can't find anywhere else.
People's great, the food's great, the dogs are great.
Everyone's been just super welcoming.
What if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
A lot of people are questioning how the NCAA is handling troubled athletes in sticky situations. Good evening, I'm Sierra Grady. You've all heard about running back Todd Gurley, but reporter Kimberly Johnson says there are many other players that are guilty of much more serious offenses.
Yes, Sierra. Social media posts are stirring up chaos for student athletes here in the SEC. There are all different kinds of offenses. The one that Gurley violated is called Law 12-1216.
The law prevents athletes like Gurley from receiving benefits due to their athletic performance.
I think that it's a privilege to be a player at Georgia, and I think that I owe it to the university and to the team, the rest of the team, to make sure that everybody there is doing right.
Other SEC football players are ongoing investigations as well. Last week, Ole Miss upset the University of Alabama 23-17, but consequently both teams lose when it comes to players violating NCAA rules. A Snapchat photo of Ole Miss's star linebacker Robert Nkemdiche hitting a bong was leaked by an anonymous Tennessee Vols fan late last night, but head coach Hugh Freeze seems to be easygoing about the situation. As for the University of Alabama, court records filed yesterday show a football player's dorm room yielded more than 100 grams of marijuana and nearly $5,000 in cash. Agents were watching sophomore tight end Kurt Freitag when they saw the deal go down. Although, if Freitag was charged of any crimes, it was not reflected in the court record.
Everyone, of course, is still anxiously waiting to hear what will happen to Gurley next.
The UGA football team will head to Little Rock this Friday to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks, possibly leaving behind their star running back, Todd Gurley. Gurley joined the team Monday for practice. Coach Mark Richt has yet to confirm his return for next Saturday's game against Arkansas. With or without him, UGA defensive lineman Sterling Bailey says they are focused and ready to take on the Razorbacks, as they were last week against the Missouri Tigers.
At first, everybody, we was, down and out, but our coaches, they got us, focused. They got our minds back on track.
The game will air at 3 p.m. this Saturday on the SEC Network. A social media campaign created to allow the University of Georgia running back to play again reached record proportions. According to a Sports Illustrated article, the campaign on Twitter called #FreeGurley became one of the highest trends on the social media site, even outpacing the Nobel Peace Prize. University of Georgia running back Todd Gurley remains suspended from the football games while the NCAA investigates if he received money for autographs. The campaign attracted all types of fans, ranging from the local UGA student to the former Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Johnny Manziel. An article on a current news site called Mashable suggests the reason social media is a major part of how we view and respond to the news is because of how much we use it. The article cites a study conducted by the Pew Research Institute, which found 59% of the respondents received their news from online and offline sources. Additionally, 75% of the respondents in the study received their news from social media sites. The #FreeGurley has not allowed him to return to the field to play games, but Gurley has returned to the team practice. A decision on his eligibility is expected sometime this week. For all of us here at Mock Show News Source, the editorial and production crews both, thank you for joining us. Good night.
74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90-mile-per-hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Critique session. Took me a while to get that out. All right, I have to remember what exactly it is. I got to get over the habit. Grady, news source. The charming young man to my left is the director, and we'll hear some comments from him. And the charming young lady is the senior producer, and we'll hear some comments from her. And let's start with the director as usual. Your assessment of the newscast.
I think today went very good. Y'all was a very good class compared to my first mock show. First, I want to give a shout out to my crew because they did an awesome job today.
Yep. It's Candy on Thursday, production crew. Although we may look at a pizza or two.
As far as you guys go, y'all did good coming down, getting mic, being ready, listening to the floor director. The only thing I have was make sure your out cues are correct, because on one package, he said something else on the out cue, and then the package went to black, so because I didn't know he was going out there. And also, when we do the, I'm trying to figure out where is that. Well, never mind. Something else is my fault. Then.
Yeah, I was about to say, one of the questions I have is when we have full screens, we're using a lot of full screens. Normally we just hit graphic, but it seems to me sometimes if I see graphic, I don't see anything in the written column. Does it make sense? And I think this is something you and Jake and Allie need to talk about, doing voiceover and graphic, both, so that when I'm marking it as a director, I can see where the heck I'm going and when I'm walking through. I think you need to raise that with the production crew, because I think we missed a couple of full screens for that reason. Okay?
Where we missed a few?
Yeah, we were behind a couple of times on a couple of the full screens. Part of it also, and this goes to everybody, on our full screens, shorten them up. We're writing everything in the world on it, you know? He was 5'10", weighed 147 pounds, and had 3 children, and he ate candy on Sundays. I mean, you know, just 2 or 3 words on a line, that's all we need. But we had some of these things that was like, it's 50% of this, which was only 75% in 1947, and then 19%. It's like, reader's not going to do that. Okay, that's for the anchors to deliver. Minor detail.
But besides the out cues and everything else went good. So
had a little audio problem.
Yeah, we had audio problems on our side. I don't. Did the mic go out?
No, and that's what we got to figure out.
It was off.
It was off.
It was on. So
it was on for a second.
Yeah,
and
it
then
was
it was off.
Yeah, there's something wrong because there's no way in God's green earth you could have turned that mic off just by moving it. I'm guessing we were picking up audio because that was, you were the second crew on that position, right? Yeah. Then we were picking up audio off another mic, I think. And then what happened is when we got
using
to
this
you,
position?
it was
So
just,
she's picking up weather.
Yeah, we were picking up the weather mic. And then the same thing on the last block, we had the same issue. And that becomes a question, all of you, and women in particular, especially those of you with the long hair, take the hair back, get the mic up close, okay? And part of the deal is what he'll do with the audio operator is say, give me a PFL, which means it's a playback, okay? Talk to the floor director or whoever and say, all right, you know, is my mic okay? Again, remember what I keep saying, it's you being responsible for yourself. It's my face hanging out there, and as scary as that thing is, you know, I want to make sure it looks as good as it possibly can and it sounds as good. So it's a mutual responsibility.
Okay.
Oh, she's got a mic.
Okay. So for my
Boy,
notes.
somebody just came storming in here.
All right. So first thing I noticed was that we need to start leading with what's new. A lot of times people would come up with a lead and I could go over and look at it and know immediately that Casangaro was not going to approve that because it's not what's new. Also, always write your lead first because a lot of times I think what's happening is that we come up with what we want the meat of the story to be, and then if you try to, and if you're like trying to make the meat of the story something different than what the lead is, that's not going to end up working. And then it gets very confusing about, you know, I go and I look and I'm like, oh, well, your lead is now where the reporter's talking, but the lead should be what the anchor is saying.
Yeah. I think literally more than half of the stories today, I said, your lead's down here, okay? And the other one is, I'm telling you, none of the scripts are going to be approved unless I have an anchor lead first, period. At that point, it's over, okay? And you're doing the anchor lead as a setup. If the anchor doesn't get my interest as a viewer at the start, I don't give a damn what you say next. I'm not watching, okay? So you got to do that.
I think that it's really important that we are researching before we come in. Because I think we spent a good hour on just research today, if not 2 hours, and Kenna can back me up on that one. So I think it's really important that you come in and you have your research done, and the first thing you do when you walk in that room is that you look up video so that we're not sitting there talking in the pitch meeting about pitches that an hour later you're going to tell me we don't have video for this. It's not going to work. There aren't any facts to back this up. I don't have sources, I don't have this, I don't have that. Also, if you look up video, that's gonna help you determine what your package is even gonna be about, which is gonna help you write your lead, because you could be like, oh, well, I'm gonna write my lead about this, but there's no video on it, so I'm gonna write the rest of the story about this, so now my lead isn't relevant, so now I've gotta start over again. Also, finding that video is gonna help you determine if you need to go out and shoot any video, or if you need to look at news source for video. And I know that there are people who here went out and shot video, and I shot video last week, and so it's not impossible. I believe in you guys. Talk to your group at the beginning to figure out how long your stories are. We did not even come close, I think, to 30 minutes today.
Yeah, although total runtime on the newscast was 25 minutes.
Okay,
so
well, good for us.
5 minutes short of a full newscast.
That's
and we
what I was
were going
hoping
to attempt that. And at a point, this starts becoming critical. I'm more interested in focusing on you getting the skills down and that you get, you know, the interaction. But there's a point where it'll be holy hell that you hit the exact times. And if the producer says you're minute 30 and you minute 45, I'm slicing 15 seconds out of you. I also don't ever want to get us into the habit of saying, oh, I've got to make it a little longer because I'm a little short. No, that means you're just filling it with bullshit stuff. That was close.
So talk to your groups and try to figure out, like, okay, so we're responsible for 5 minutes today. How long do you think yours will be? Because you have already looked up videos and content. You know how much you have to fill. And then you can be like, okay, so I guess we should probably add a fourth story today. Who is best equipped to do that? Write to the video. I think when I ended up watching it that most of you guys did write to the video, so that was good, but it seemed like there's a lot of difficulty getting there. I'm going to send out in the email about writing packages. I think everybody did that correctly this week so that we didn't have any prompter problems, which was really good. The producer for each block is responsible for that block's graphics, which we did not know. Now we do. If your graphics are in your package, you are responsible for them. Reporters make the packages, correct? Am I correct in saying that? Reporters make the packages. There's no reason anybody in here should be killing themselves to do 2 stories when one of them is not their own. Whereas like Mallory volunteered to do 2 stories, so that worked out. So that's just that's the way that's why we're rotating.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We've got that was one of my notes too, is that the reporters have to write their own packages, and that again, anchor lead all the way through the end. We obviously were running a little bit late today. Also, a lot that I noticed is that we're relying on a lot of old graphics, and graphics aren't that difficult to create. So we should be making our own with updated information. If you can go into NewsSource and find an old graphic, then what you're reporting probably isn't news. It's not new. Why? And just as a operational, remember that if you have a graphic in a package, that's your responsibility. If there's a graphic for a full screen, I'd prefer for us to create them, the producer of that unit, on the Adobe Premiere, but the production staff are capable of doing that as well.
Also, I asked you guys throughout the day, so is this a VO? Is it a full screen? Is it a this? Is it a that? And I think we, for the most part, kept up with each other, and that was really good. But just make sure coming in here that the producer knows that you are doing a VO, or they know you're doing a full screen, or they know that you're doing a reader. Because there was a moment in there when it got really confusing, and I was happy that I could confirm and be like, we are doing a package. It is not a VO, and that was helpful. So that was good. Also, the crew should never be yelling at the people in here to get ready. So at the beginning when they were like, I need you guys to stop and look at the cameras and stuff, they're just trying to make us look good. So we should already be there.
Yeah, we don't have times on the screens, do we? In some places you do. But what we're looking at is that screen, and I'm sitting there in the booth and I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking at the time. And if you're in front, that's your responsibility.
Right. And the rest are just things throughout the newscast that mostly went very well. There were a couple of mic issues, but I don't even know if you guys know when there's a mic issue, but you just keep going and you powered through it. When you're an anchor and you're talking and you're reading your story and then there's no package, it just goes to the next story. We're supposed to look down, take a second, start the next story, because it gets really confusing if you go from one story into the next and nobody at home can tell that you've started the next story.
And I had a very similar one. Pause between the stories. Okay, some of you did a nice job of connecting some of the stories together. So a lot of these sections, they're a single topic with multiple angles, so that's good. But give me a pause, especially for those anchors when you're doing teas. Because we came straight out of a hard story into the teas, and it's like, whoa, what the hell just happened here? I'm in a commercial, and I forgot where the heck I'm at. Pause, and think about what you're saying. Think about you talking to someone about it, not delivering it as an anchor. Cool?
I think that was all I had. Oh, keep your hair off your face.
Keep your hair off your face.
It looks good in pictures, but up here, it just you have a whole shadow.
Actually, she covered a couple of the things. We can't use WSB TV video, okay? We can't use video from anybody else. Technically, we can't. We actually can, but we get permission. But I also don't want to use it with the supers on it, because then that just tells somebody we stole it from somebody else. In the Athens storm history, I had the shot of the newspaper video of that long time. I would have just held it up for a lot more time. It was almost up there for 2 seconds, and I'm going, hey, that was pretty cool. And you could have held that up a lot longer, I think. The early voting package, my favorite soundbite of all time. Democracy is friggin' awesome, man. It's like, wow, that is so cool. I love democracy, man. I hate communism, don't you? Yeah. It really sucks. Playback. Why do I have? We had an issue going into the newsroom and the other one, and yes, where are you? If you screw up, yeah, I'm going to hold her up to public ridicule. Don't laugh, don't smile, don't, you know, it's like, and it's easy to do, yeah, and you all did it, and it's like.
I saw you were like.
Yeah, I know, it was like, okay, all right, I'm sitting there going, hey, I've screwed up. I'm sorry, all right, you know, it's like, but the issue especially is more important when you're talking about certain stories, okay, and all of a sudden you're doing like a Gurley story and how he's been whatever, and you're smiling and I'm going, you know, you're the only damn person in the entire state of Georgia that's happy about Gurley, you know, and you can't do that. So you really got to watch facial expression. And the biggest issue always is think about what you're saying, you know. I'm thinking about it because I'm trying to do interpretive delivery, which means I'm interpreting it for the viewer. Just like I'm doing now when I'm talking to you, I turn to the camera and say, let me explain this to you, okay? So that it's clear, and I got it in my head, and I'm thinking about what I'm saying. I'm thinking about Gurley, or I'm thinking about storms. I'm thinking about people dying. That changes, or in those rare cases where I'm actually talking about something happy. And on the SEC suspensions things, we had no two-shot interaction at all. You know, it's like, you know, we're doing the two shots just so you have a little polite interaction, and that's cool. Let's do that. Just, you know, very nice. Talk to another person. Say, hey, that was nice. Yeah, man, that's cool. All right. Interact just enough, just as friendly conversation. What else?
I had a quick question. Jalen, at the end of your package on the tag out, was it not up on the prompter? So they just hadn't gotten there yet? Okay.
But that's one of the keys, remember, which is what she
said. She had her script.
Yeah,
so
and go down and look. Okay, yeah. That's
Don't
it
look
for
at
now.
yourself on screen. A lot of you guys, like, you'll hold it for the whole time, and at the very end, you just check yourself out for a second. It's obvious.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it is true. All right, let's go producer segments. B, weather safety producer.
Right here. Well,
again, same routine, what worked, what needs work. And come over here a little bit.
Well, overall, I thought we had decent content. The one thing that I'd say is, like, Adeline, be a little bit careful because you were a little monotone, but just a little bit. Like, it was late when you were reading. And then I thought crosstalks were pretty good. And like I like the packaged content for the most part. And on the other side, I think we cut it a little bit close on deadlines, and part of that's my fault. I probably could have been a little bit more efficient there, and I don't really have anything else.
Okay. Clarity between the producer, reporter, and anchor as to what's leading, where you're doing it, and how you're structuring it, because you guys had an issue there.
Yeah.
And we got away with it, but on some of those, I'm going to sit there and say, hang on, how come the anchor thinks we're leading with this and the producer thinks we're leading with that? That can't happen.
Yeah, that was my fault as well.
Yes, that was your fault. I agree, 100%. Don't do it is the issue, all right? Talk. That's the biggest, one of the big things we're doing is the way we've set this up with these little mini teams. You've got to guys interact. And it's also because then you're relying on the anchor's relying on you in order to make that stuff happen. Cool. Early voting.
All right, that was, I think when we did a lot of things good, it was the only thing that, like, I would have liked to maybe talk to you guys a little more before we got into the newsroom, just for, we had kind of it, you know, down exactly what we're going to do before we walked in there. I think that would have helped. We got right down to it once we got in there and started, and I thought that was really good. And we communicated for the most part really well, so I thought that was really good too. When it came to being on screen, I thought you did a great job when you couldn't get that, and then you looked down to your script and recovered. I thought that was really good. And but no, ultimately, I think just, you know, talking to each other sooner is the big.
You guys, I wasn't sure we're talking, quite frankly. Sometimes you were there and you two were talking, and I didn't see the three of you interacting quite as much. You got it, and that becomes you. And each time you're the producer, you're the one responsible. Okay, take on the responsibility. On the full screen on the October 25th, I was unclear on what day is October 25th.
Saturday.
Okay, so and then after that we said Sunday as well.
Mm-hmm.
So then October 26th.
Yes.
Okay. On the full screen and what you guys were saying just didn't quite add up. And you were asking me to interpret. Hold on. I literally was going, what the hell is October 25th? And why is they're voting on that day, but Is that Sunday? And at the time, the anchor was saying it's Sunday. I'm going, I looked at my little calendar and it wasn't. I'm going, okay, now you got me confused, okay?
Okay, that
Again,
was...
bullet point these little suckers too.
Yeah, that was, I guess, the problem. I was trying to get it to fit all in there, and then getting Saturday and the date on there.
Yeah,
was
remember, you just need 3 or 4 words each line, 3 or 4 words, that's all. And the anchor delivers on that. All right, at privacy.
Hey, so as far as our group went, I honestly thought we actually did pretty good. Zach, obviously, like as they already mentioned before, you know, we just have to leave enough space between each of our stories just to help the users understand that it is a separate story. And I know that it was actually really difficult because our last piece was almost one of the longest. And
yeah, that was a monster.
Yeah, it's one of those.
You actually did okay, but it was like, and having full screen, going back to the anchor, then full screen did help, but.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job, like, reading it and, like, trying to keep up with it. And, I mean, I applaud you for keeping, you know, like, for just, no, it's not even just average. It's that, you kept with it. And even though I could tell you were getting flustered, you kept going. And I know that certain words were, like, a little bit more difficult and were easier to stumble over. Honestly, it probably should have become a package had we had enough time to do that. And that's just planning.
Easy,
and that's just planning difference.
Yeah, a lot of times you can convert these to, especially if I've got one that's long, I'm gonna even if it's a 40-second, I can track it and edit it in 10 minutes compared to trying to hit it live. And that was a good example of one you really had to shorten up those full screen lettering. It was like, good Lord, St. Paul's epistle to the Philistines here, you know? Cool.
Okay.
All right.
And then that's pretty much all I had, other than Sophie, you did a really good job in the newsroom. I know that's the first time we've ever done it, and it was a new experience, but you did good.
Yeah, look from Casanera.
I like doing the newsroom shots. That's fine. We can do it. You will find, got to be careful because you got to have that script up there because that was the one thing is, yeah, you were reading at that point and that throws the viewer off completely. They're sitting there saying, okay, you're faking it now.
I got really confused. I thought we had an A block, but the A block was just that weather update. So I thought I had a whole nother block commercial break to prepare. You know what I mean? I
had no idea what you're saying.
got cut, but
I thought
yeah, I know, but
I
mean, the point we're at you.
I was
what
so
difference
flustered,
does it make?
and all of a sudden I'm on camera. Jake's running over to like go cue me in, and I was like, forgot everything, panicked a lot. So yeah, that's kind of what happened there.
Okay. Yeah, do be careful. I mean, most of those things, you know, I'm going to have the script in my head pretty well, obviously. All right. SEC?
Last but not least, eh? All right. Stuff we did well. I think overall the content was pretty good. I think the packages did a good job on getting the stuff in. And Kenna, shout out to you, assignment editor, for helping edit the last second, making it clean. So that was a great job. So I thank you.
Props to Kenna for everything.
Yeah, I will say you jumped in. That was great. That was good to see that. And I had told her, quite frankly, about. I was stressed out. Yeah, I could tell. It's like I don't think I want anybody to talk to Kenna. She's going to probably rip their head off, and I don't blame her. At 2 minutes to air, and she's starting to drop. I told her very bluntly. I'm sitting there going, "You're SOL." As far as I'm concerned, at that point, your problem doesn't become her problem. Okay, and that's a deal. All right.
Not the first time you saved me today, this week.
Oh, that is true.
Preface, I lost the camera last Tuesday, and she found it last night. So, again, I thank you yet again.
Well, she didn't find it, right?
Well, she got it from me.
I tracked it
So.
down.
And then, again, as we talked in the pitch meeting, our angles on the SEC turned out to be a lot harder to find info and sources than we thought. Castanera told us it's going to be a challenge, and yes, it was in fact a challenge. And as Carolyn said earlier, I'd say look at the stuff beforehand and try and find good angles and good video that you can write to.
Yeah, and yours was a challenge for that reason. That required, the angle is there, but boy, that was going to require a lot of legwork. And then the other thing is, you were dealing with a subject that has been beaten to death. you know? I mean, I've heard the Gurley, the suspensions, I mean, that's all anybody's been bitching about for the last week, you know, in Athens. So it's like, okay, how can you tell me something that I don't know? And that was a big struggle. You had an angle in there, but it took a while to get it out of there, you know? I mean, that one thing about the social media and Gurley versus the Nobel Peace Prize was a great one. Of course, it was line number 8 in your original script, you know, but that was the leadoff. The one thing on the structure was it was weird. You went SEC suspensions, then you talked about the Arkansas game, which was just sort of like, okay, that's going to happen, and then you went back to social media effects, and it was like, hold on, that didn't connect.
I think,
you know?
I think if
like
I had to do it over again, I really wish I had more time. So I probably would have done switched the Arkansas game and the social media effects just because.
Yeah, Arkansas game was just like a kicker.
Yeah,
we know what the hell's happening. Yeah,
say,
wip-de-do.
Everyone knows about it. So
yeah, exactly.
That's on me.
But you had the two that were connected. They had to be together.
Yeah, and that's all I got, guys. So.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So, no, you're fine. Okay, so we have from basically now until next Tuesday to prepare. And we say, like, we blame so many things on, I don't have time to do this. But we are in that room literally for 5 hours, and the fact that we are only doing one story each is sad. And it's not gonna be like how it is next semester at all. We're gonna need to do a lot more. And we blame a lot, oh, I didn't have time, but we have a whole week to prepare. So it's hugely important that you are talking with your group members, that you are brainstorming, that you are looking up stuff that you can do, because we have so much time to get it together.
And I've structured this very specifically so you can have that one day and it's as close to the news source experience, and that's why I switched the 2 classes around so you actually go. But the real key is you guys have that whole time, and that's why I rotate the groups, because the other issue is you got to learn to work with everybody else. And that helps enormously. So yeah, we had a couple coming in today. I'm going, all right, we haven't had conversations. This is way too late. And remember, I expect you to be watching that Grady News Source program. You know, at the point you're sitting there and you're pitching a story that I just watched last night on Grady News Source, I'm going, you're screwed. And quite frankly, last Thursday's class, they were pitching stories that you guys had done Tuesday. And I said, you know, you're out of here. You know, that's horse hockey of the worst order. That ain't happening. You're not even watching the others. So you have to watch your Thursday newscast as well as keeping up to date, all right? So, but yeah, point well taken.
And somebody put a doc on our Facebook group that we're all in, I think, I don't know. But anyway, somebody put a document up there for us all to go on, and they have their pitches from week to week on there, and they want us to like add ours so that we can all keep up with each other and just.
Well, that's on the Google Docs.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to double check that you're not doing anybody else's story.
Yeah. That's fine. Google
Just go
Docs.
back and watch the.
Yeah, and you have access to it on all the others. All of these are going to be posted. I've had some problems with posting it, but all these newscasts and the critiques will be posted. So you, your friends, and everybody else can have a beer every time you make a mistake and probably go through a 6-pack or 2. All right. Or 12, or, you know, case or whatever. Let's do soda instead. Producer, you get the last word.
I think Kenna was the real MVP today for multiple reasons. I mean, I pretty much did my job. Kenna did beyond what she was supposed to do.
Well, I mean,
oh, so she was the girly, you were the chub.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
I don't know what that means.
That means you were the better one.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Oh.
Well, I mean, I had, like, you know, Zach was the first one. I had a lot to live up to. He's the one who, like, did it all the first time. But, yeah, like, a lot of the stuff that I was thinking, you know, pretty much got it all handled.
Yeah. I think you taught me the importance of thinking ahead.
Me?
You knew, like, the first hour we got in there, you were like, that's not going to work out. That's not going to work out. That's not going to work out. And you were right.
Yeah, I was really worried about the Rick story, like very worried about that one, and then didn't happen.
Change it, so.
But I totally forgot what I was gonna say.
That happens at my age. It shouldn't be happening at yours.
Well, the packages were a lot better this time. Like the way we did the script, like all in one, and then transferring stuff over, because it just gets real confusing. But other than that, we have lately had problems with people changing their slugs from what's on the rundown.
but that was really good today. Like, we didn't have any problems with that. Like, it all matched up, so I think we were good.
And that's part of the learning experience. You're going to go through, and you guys are, you know, part of this issue is the mechanics of getting the job done. More critical is the content and, you know, the philosophies, but the mechanics are what are going to eat you alive. So the producer will send out a note summarizing all of this stuff, but take a look at everything you did, and I would agree. You know, you guys are doing well. So let's keep it up.
Just ran
cool.
about as long as
Thank you. Oh, and go into, make sure everything in the lab room 132.